Good evening. Good evening. It is Tammy Carpenter of Simply Tammy, and we are live again for another powerful segment of Women Who Win. And as you guys are coming in, go ahead in the comments and say hello. Let us know that you're watching. My guest tonight is none other than the phenomenal Dr. Katrina Hutchins, affectionately known as Dr. K. So I am going to read her bio so that I can bring her in to the meeting. So give me just a moment to bring up her bio. And I'm going to read an abbreviated portion. There's so much that Dr. K has done and contributes to. So I'm going to give you a brief snippet by reading a portion of her bio. Dr. Katrina Hutchins, affectionately known as Dr. K, is the president and CEO of Resource Solutions, a personal and professional growth and development company. A certified personal and executive coach, consultant, inspirational speaker, author, and professor with decades of experience as a senior leader in the nonprofit, philanthropic, higher education, and faith based sectors, Dr. K is committed to positioning her voice in a way that amplifies the voices of others. As such, she has coached individuals and spoken to audiences all over the country, whether in auditoriums, one on one, through radio, television, in the boardroom, in the classroom, or in whatever space she finds herself. Dr. K's goal remains the same: to touch the lives and work of others to leave them better than before. Dr. K is the founder of the Resource Solutions Foundation. The foundation exists to improve the mental, physical, and spiritual health of women and families through education, edification, and empowerment. A signature event of the foundation is the annual I'm God's Girl for Real conference. She is a wife, mother, and a grateful Mimi. Dr. K's mantra is life happens. Put on your big girl panties and keep moving. So I am going to bring Dr. K on into our broadcast. Good evening, Dr. K.
Hi, Tammy. It is so good to be here. So good to be here.
It
Thank you so much
is.
for the invitation.
It's so good to have you. We see Lassandra's already in saying hello. Charlene's already in saying
Hello,
hello. My
girl.
friend Shahara is in saying hello. So before jumping into the interview, I always after reading the bio, I always like to kind of give just a brief snippet of how I met the individuals that I'm having the honor to interview. And when I think just about my life and the people that are in it, I'm grateful to God of the fullness that I feel in my relationship. So thanks to our sister and friend Charlene, I met
Yeah.
you. I think it was maybe somewhere between 5 to 7 years ago. I can't remember the exact date, but it was her first unofficial breakfast of champions that she did at her home. And I laughed because every time that I would hear you speak, I was like, now they never say she's a minister, but I promise she be dropping sermons on us every time she's talking. She ain't taking no text, but I am sure that was a sermon that she just dropped on us. So yes, I am so grateful to know you and have been able to over the years, after seeing you in many arenas, and supporting I'm God's Girl for Real, and you becoming also a friend and mentor to me. So thank you for just being simply who you are, the beautiful, wonderful Dr. K. And I'm so honored that you've carved out some time to talk to us tonight.
Well, I'm honored, Tammy. And even as you did that introduction and you brought in the central part to even our relationship, right? We wouldn't know each other without Charlene Evans. And so even when you
Yeah.
said she's already watching, I'm like, that's my girl.
Yes,
And
yes,
she's such a supporter, such a gift, and
yes,
such a model of what it means to support other women. And I've
yes.
watched her do that over the years for almost 20 years, I believe it's been. For us,
Mm.
I've watched you do that. And I'm grateful for this connection. So it is an honor for me. I don't take it lightly. I just
Oh.
appreciate the fact that you all still let me hang out with you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. When I tell you I've had so many people's like, oh, you got Dr. K tonight? We ain't missing this one. I was like, yeah, we will. This is my last one for a period of time. I'm taking a break for July. So I'm so glad that you were available to come back with me on this Wednesday night to end it. So
Thank
we're gonna
you.
go ahead and jump in. I see some other ladies. Hey Lisa, hey sis, Cheryl, Marcy Jordan, um, Valerie. Thank you, ladies, for joining and chiming in. We are so delighted to have you guys with us here tonight. So when I was thinking about being able to talk to you tonight, Dr. K, over the years, having been able to hear you speak and read your books, um, there was a story in particular that is in your works or in your writings, as well as I think I've heard you share it personally, that I think was fitting to start off this interview with. Because of the climate that we're in our country right now, and just because of the something that a lot of ladies deal with, and it's affectionately known as, or I call it, the marble story or your marble story. So I want you to kind of start there for us, please, if you would, with the audience, share what we call your marble story.
Absolutely. And I love sharing that story. I've been sharing it now for years. I've written about it. I have it as the introduction in 2 books now, because it's such a core story to who I am. It actually worked to inform my identity. But so let me share that story. So first of all, I've got to kind of say that this story happened in the 60s. So I'm a child of the 60s. And I'm going to pause right there for y'all to say, what? You were
Exactly.
born in the 60s?
Right, like 60s who?
Yes. So all of this happened in the 60s. I was born in the 60s. And I was also born in the country. So I'm a country girl. I grew up around all of my family. So we lived in a house. Grandma lived across the street from us. I had aunts, uncles, and cousins all around me. So I grew up a really happy-go-lucky little girl in those early years of my life. And one of the highlights was when I started school in first grade. Although we lived in the country, I had the awesome privilege to go to Waverly Elementary, which was an all-Black elementary school right in the heart of Columbia, because my mom worked at Benedict College, and Waverly
Okay.
was literally right around the corner from Benedict College. So I thought I was the stuff, driving into the big city of Columbia, going to school. Mama would drop me off in first grade, go right around the corner to her office. And my first grade teacher was Mrs. Grogan. She was absolutely amazing. She was beautiful. She was smart. I think I was her pet. That's why I loved her so much. But loved my classmates, loved learning, loved being at Waverly, could not wait to return for second grade. So
Mm-hmm.
our first grade year ended. I'm going home for the summer, all set to come back to Waverly. But while we were out for the summer, my parents received a letter in the mail that let them know that I wouldn't be able to return back to Waverly, that they were rezoning, and I was now going to be bused into a new school because
Wow.
this was in the heart of integration. And so
Mm.
anyway, summer ends, school rolls around, our whole routine changes. Now our mode of operation is my mom would drop me off at grandma's. It was grandma's responsibility to put me on the bus while mama
Mhm.
went on her commute to work. About the first 2 or 3 days of going to this new school, my second grade teacher made it very clear that she wasn't too happy with some of us who had now shown up in her classroom. But in my
Mhm.
second grade mind, I thought, that's okay. I know how to do school. I can do this. Logan taught me how to do this. And
Right.
so about the third day, we got to school, and in the middle of the day, she said, on Friday, you can bring something for show and tell. And I thought, that's it. I'm a rock show and tell. I would show her I am going to rock show and tell. And so
Yes.
Friday rolls around. Mama's getting me ready. We're scurrying through the house. She said, do you have everything you need? I said, yes, ma'am. So she drops me off at grandma. She goes on her commute. Well, I'm getting ready to go to the bus, and I'm walking through grandma's kitchen, and I have a meltdown. And I'm just, and grandma, old country woman that she was, She said, child, what is wrong with you? And I said, I don't have anything for show and tell. And I saw grandma just kind of looking around the room. She went over in the corner. She scooped up something, put it in her pocket, grabbed me by the hand and said, come on, I got to get you to that bus. So we're running down her driveway. The bus comes. Doors open. I step up on the first step. Grandma goes in her pocket. She puts something in my hand and she says, okay, get on that bus. So I get to my seat on the bus, open my hand, and grandma has put a big marble in it. One of the big ones that you break up the other marbles with. They're called
Yes.
shooters that she had just stolen from one of my boy cousins. I'm sure of that. And I thought to myself, it sure is pretty. I don't know what I'm going to say, but it sure is pretty. And so
Mm-hmm.
I got to my classroom, got to my desk, took my marble, put it in my little cubby right in front of me to wait until the end of the day for show and tell. Finally, at the end of the day, the teacher says, okay, you can take out your items for show and tell. I went to reach for my marble, and there was a little white boy sitting next to me, and he reached over in my cubby and grabbed it. And I looked at him and I said, that's my marble. You can't have that. And so I raised my hand to get her attention, and she looked at me and turned away.
Mm-hmm.
And I raised my hand again to get her attention, and she looked at me and turned away. And finally I said, please, please. And she walked over to where we were sitting and she said, what is it? And I said, he just took my marble. And so she looked at him and she said, did you take her marble? And he looked back at her and he said, I didn't take that nigger's marble. And she looked at me and she said, don't you ever lie to me again. And I sat that day and watched that little boy do show and tell with the marble grandma gave me. And in that moment, in that instant, in that space and time, I went from being that happy-go-lucky little girl to someone who now was afraid in her environment, who did not feel safe, but most of all, a little girl who had just lost her voice.
Mm.
And that is my recollection of the first time having that experience of feeling like I had something that I owned ripped out of me.
My.
And it was my voice. So
Hmm.
that's my marble story.
Whew. It's amazing. I've read the words, and even after we talked to prep for this interview, I read it again, and the emotions in
Yeah,
just reading that. Because as you have shared, and I think the most powerful part of it, so many of us have a marble story. There was something,
absolutely.
an event at some point that stripped us of our voice. The thing, like you said, something you owned being taken away from you. So that happened as a second grader. How did that shape your world beyond that point?
And so initially, when it happened, of course, it rocked my world, right? I didn't know what to do with that at that age. It wasn't until later in my life, Tammy, that I was able to actually go back, right? And so let me tell you something. I used to say it because it sounds good on paper. So let's just talk about this for a minute. I
Okay.
used to say, don't go back to your past, press forward, you just keep going, don't look back, all of those things that sound good to us
Mm.
because it represents movement forward. But here's a reality. There are some things that happen to us in our past, some trauma that we experienced in our past. And if we don't go back and reclaim what that trauma took away, I don't care how much we move forward. We are moving forward with a limp We are moving forward with a piece of dysfunction hovering over our lives. Why? Because we left a piece of ourselves in our past. So we need to stop saying that thing about don't look back, keep moving forward. No, you need to go back and get what you need in order to go forward. We've got some missing pieces that we don't always go back to reclaim. And my voice was a missing piece. So I kept trying to figure out why I would go silent in certain situations, why I would give away my power and go on mute in certain situations,
Ooh.
why I would allow people to turn down my volume in certain situations, why I was sitting at tables shaking, having something to say and too afraid to say it. You know why? Because I left my voice back there in my past. So I had to go back and reclaim what I needed for my future. And so I had to do the work, Tammy, to go back and get it. Now, I'm not saying that the trip back is a walk through the roses, a trip through the tulips, right? It is going back with the intention that I've got some work to do. And in order to go back, I feel like it's like what Harriet Tubman must have felt like when she was going back to free people.
Well,
Right? Because it's that trip back to be able to have freedom going forward. So
my,
it's
my,
like you got
my.
to go back so that you can have freedom to move forward. I was in bondage to not having a voice. And I made wrong decisions because I didn't have a voice.
Teach
I
Dr. K.
allowed people to make decisions for me because I had left my voice behind me. I allowed other people to determine my identity because I left my voice behind me. So going back to get my voice was the greatest gift, the greatest blessing outside of Jesus himself, because it was something that God gave me when he created me. And to have it snatched away at such an early age was the enemy's plan for my destruction. So it was critical to my future and my destiny.
Mm. Oh Lord, I'm trying to recover. I told you when we talked, I said, now I'm not trying to be laid out in the first 20 minutes. Okay, y'all done made me grab a Kleenex. I told y'all she got some preaching and she gave us no text, no scripture, but did she not preach the whole mini sermon? That the knowledge of that is liberating, but the process of that for so many people is fearful. So
Absolutely.
we have so many voiceless women walking around. So, and I know that it's years of work and steps, but if you had to maybe give 1 to 3 steps to the woman who knows that her voice is somewhere in the past, what
Mhm.
is her process to reclaim that?
Well, first of all, is really acknowledging it, really
Mm,
acknowledging it. Because sometimes instead of acknowledging things that are our reality, we make excuses for it.
mm, yeah,
Because we already know that to acknowledge it means that we're going to have to do something about it. So rather
yes.
than settle into this intention to do the work, to do something about it, we won't acknowledge it. So we just make excuses for it, and we say things like, "That's just the way I am."
Mm,
And my question is, and how is that working for you?
right.
Right? So moving from those kind of clichéic ways that we dismiss a process that we need, right?
Mm,
That's
okay.
just the way I am. I'm okay with me. I don't care what other people think of me. Lie, lie, lie. Yeah, those are all lies that we have bought
Oh,
into that keep us from doing the work. So, number one, acknowledge. Number
yes.
two, being intentional. And what I mean by being intentional, it means that you are going to get this done by any means necessary, whatever the cost, whatever the risk, because you recognize that your freedom is attached to it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what that means is that you may have to release some people. Let me tell you what you will have to do. You will have to release people when you are reclaiming your voice. You're going to have to release the people that's holding it captive. Because what has happened along the way, you have met people who have become your enablers of silence, and they enjoy your silence. Do you hear me? They enjoy your silence. They appreciate the fact that you don't have a voice. And so you're going to have to be able to acknowledge those people, identify who they are, and be willing to let them go.
Mm.
And that's that part of doing the work. And then number three, making sure that your steps are strategic, that you are being critical in your approach, your critical thinking in terms of how you're doing, and being relentless and consistent.
Mm.
Relentless and consistent. What that means, you can't go back and get something if you start and stop, start and stop. Let me tell you why I love Harriet Tubman, because she carried a gun and she said to people, stop if you want to, I will kill you.
That's
Right?
what she said.
Because when you start and stop, when you start and stop, here's another reality, Tammy. We've got other people attached to our assignment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we start and stop, do you know we are starting and stopping the people attached to us?
My.
Starting because they are attached to us. And when we move, they move just like that. And so when our movement is not in alignment with where we are supposed to be, what we are supposed to be doing, that we are not living the assignment that God has for us, we are also responsible for the people attached to us.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why it's important for us to be consistent, to be persistent, to be resilient. You'll get knocked down on the journey back, but that doesn't mean you stay down. You get back up and you keep going until you reclaim what you went back to get, because that is your key to freedom and to moving forward. So, I said all of that to say no more excuses.
No more excuses.
Your voice is powerful and you need it for
Yes.
what God has called you to do, purposed for you to do, assigned for you to do. Our voices are needed. And I'm telling you, for women in particular, that is the first thing the enemy takes from us. If we
Yes.
go all the way back to the woman in Genesis, when we meet her, what was she doing? Chatting it up with the serpent, talking, because she had voice.
Mm-hmm.
After he convinced her to doubt God and to do what God told her not to do, we no longer hear from her because her voice was gone.
My.
It is the same thing. The enemy is doing nothing new.
Wow.
He is still the thief of voice. He is still the robber of voice. And so we've even got to recognize who that battle is with and go back with this righteous indignation that you cannot have my voice.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, okay. So, knowing now that you're a professor, you're a coach, you are an author. So not only at some point did you reclaim your voice, you now are a catalyst for teaching women, training women, coaching women, and not only reclaiming theirs, but how to use it. So I want to first talk about, how did you know, what was the moment, or when did you know you had reclaimed your voice?
So, that's tied to another story,
Okay.
actually. That is tied to another story. So let me tell you how much I was faking voice.
Okay.
Because we
Faking
got
voice.
some voice fakers.
Voice fakers. Lesson for the voice fakers.
Yeah. So I was a voice faker. I had it mastered. I had it down pat. And let me tell you, I was voice faking in church.
Many of us do.
Right? And so what I mean by that is, I'm going to church every Sunday. I'm serving on committees. I'm there every time the door opens. Every time I'm greeted with how are you doing? I was the blessed and highly favored queen. Lie, lie, lie. And would get in my car, driving
Mm.
home from that same church where
Mm-hmm.
I'm over there faking voice, feeling like Tammy,
Ooh,
that my insides were being ripped out,
my.
right? So this deep, dark place. So I'm smiling on the outside, and on the inside, all of me was just damaged and being destroyed. Just when I look back on it, I was literally the walking dead, but
Mm.
faking all the while, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
was doing that over and over again, day after day after day. Those days turned into months, those months turned into years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the burden of that kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I kept finding myself in a dark place that was growing darker and darker
Mm-hmm.
and darker, right? But I'm still going through these motions. And I remember one day,
Movement in darkness. That's a whole
movement in
nother.
darkness, movement in darkness. I was moving in darkness,
Mm.
moving in darkness. And I remember one day I was at work, and I literally said, I can't do this anymore. And so I came home, I picked up the children from after school care, took them over into their room. And Tammy, by external measures, I had the dream life. Beautiful home, nice cars, good job, great benefits, by outside appearances. It looked like the model life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm moving in darkness, voice faking, and I'm tired.
Mm.
So this particular day I came home and I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I took the children on the other side of the house to their rooms, and I went over into our room, our master bedroom at the time. And there was a gun in the house that, wasn't my gun, but it was there. I knew where it was. And so I thought, I'm done. I closed my door to the master bedroom. Pretty sure I locked it. Went in the closet, got the gun, sat down on the floor beside the bed, opened the box, took out the gun. And as I was loading the bullets in the chamber, I was thinking, should I write mama a note? That was the only thought I had. But
Mm.
even that thought was fleeting. So I closed the chamber, sat back, positioned myself up against the bed, rested my back up against the bed, and I literally took the barrel and put it right here. And right when the barrel rested, on my temple, I heard rustling coming down the hall, like rustling. And my door flew open. And I mean, like somebody kicked it in. But my son was only like 6 years old. But the
Mm,
door flew open like it was coming off the hinges.
mm,
And he ran in front of me, stood in my face, because at this point we're at eye level because I'm sitting on the floor. And he says to me, Mommy, I may not be able to give you everything you need, but you'll always have my love.
mm,
And he turned around and walked out of the room.
mm,
And Tammy, it was as
mm.
if God Himself
Yeah.
had walked in the room. And I broke something in me, broke, but it wasn't the kind of brokenness that further drove me into darkness or further drove me into voice faking. It was the breaking that I needed,
Mm,
that allowed my voice to start seeping through and out of those areas, those cracks, that brokenness,
yes.
started to come prayers that I had not been praying for years, started to come conversations with God that I had not been having, started to come declarations about who I knew He had created me to be, started to come just these times of repentance and asking for forgiveness in ways that I had not been able to do. Why? Because I did not have a voice. So He broke open these places where my voice had been trapped and gone and missing and all of that. So He broke open places to restore the little bit I had left, but
Hmm.
also to pour in what I had been missing.
Yes. Yes.
So I say all of that and I share that story to say that I had to almost die to live again, to be
Ma'am.
able to get this voice, to be able to be on that journey, to be able to be in pursuit, right? And
Mm,
now I understand. When I look at my life now, I know why the enemy tried to kill me. I don't blame him. I would have tried to kill me too. But look, he missed that opportunity because God
yes.
intervened in a way that, in a way that it cannot be denied
Yes.
that it was
Yes.
Him. And so that is that part of the testimony, that I
Mm-hmm.
had to die to get voice again. And so, even
Mm,
for those ladies who are listening, there will be parts of you that will have to die to be able to get your voice again. But that's okay. Die. Go ahead and die. It's okay. Go ahead and die, because your death is going to bring you the life that you've been longing for. So
mm,
many of us are afraid of death, but I'm encouraging you today to die. Go ahead and die, because there
yeah.
is life after this death that I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes. Oh, saints of God and friends on this call tonight. So something you said, um, you you mentioned that as the breaking began, you began to utter prayers that you had not prayed before. You began to have conversations with God that you had not prayed. Um, and as you were saying that, it made me think about, we have so many people, because you said you were faking it in church. You
Mhm.
were there faithfully, I'm sure, serving every time you were called upon, but when your voice was taken, it sounds like that also impacted your voice interaction with God.
Absolutely, it did.
Can you speak on that a little bit? Because again, you appear to be connected, But that snatching caused another disconnection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it literally interfered with my relationship with the Father. Because here's the
Mm,
reality, Tammy, you can't have a relationship with somebody you don't talk to.
true.
And it wasn't that I wasn't talking to God, but I was talking to God in ways that I had learned over the course of my life. So I grew up in a Baptist church. So the Baptist church that I grew up in, they prayed the same prayers every Sunday. Like
Mm-hmm.
I knew the prayers by heart, like, so I knew how to repeat what I had heard.
Mm-hmm.
I knew how to behave like what I had seen,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I didn't have it wasn't that defining communication that drove my relationship with God into intimacy. So
Yes.
when I talk to God in passing, sort of like, hey, how you doing? Good. Like,
Like y'all were on speaking terms.
yeah, we were on speaking terms, like, you good? Okay, yep, I'm good. Right? Amen.
We still on this journey.
Yeah. So no intimacy,
Yes.
because you can't have intimacy without communication, authentic communication.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can't have intimacy without voice. And let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you something about voice, because see, only 7% of our voice communication happens in words. The other 93% is all in our nonverbals.
Mm.
I didn't even have the right nonverbals with God. Do you know He watches our nonverbals? It's a way to communicate with Him. That's
Talk
a
about
part
that
of our
now.
voice. A part of our voice. He watches. Listen, God listens to our 7%, but He watches our posture.
Dr.
And
K.
I literally believe that sometimes He's saying, I hear you, but I also see you. And those two don't align. So I had a misalignment between my 7% and my 93. And that ripped my intimacy apart with God.
Mm-hmm.
Misaligned in my 7 and my 93, could not bring it together. Therefore, I was faking my relationship and my intimacy with God. I could pray some elaborate prayers in church because that was a part of my faking. That was a part of my gig, right? So that was a part of my drama. And
Mm-hmm.
all I needed was somebody to say, "Now come into the stage," because that's what I was doing
With
acting.
a drum roll.
Right. Now coming to the stage, drum roll, please. Because that's how I was operating.
Yeah.
But with misaligned voice, this separation between my 7 and my 93, no intimacy with God, not having the kind of intimate conversations with Him, speaking
Mm.
to Him from my heart, Tammy, speaking to Him from my spirit, speaking to Him from my assignment, my destiny, having conversations with Him about His plans for my life. I was telling God, so this is what we're going to do. Because I thought of this. God, I think this is a good idea. So this
Mm.
is what we're going to do. So I did a lot of, God, here are my plans. I need you to show up, but I got it taken care of.
Right.
And so all of that was also that driver of movement in darkness. Because let me tell you what God will not do. God will not operate on our agenda. I don't care how well we write it. He will not
He will
operate
not.
on our agenda. And so, even now, I tell women when I'm coaching, when I'm teaching, when I'm doing workshops, whatever, check your agenda and make sure that down at the bottom, there's a place that says, I'm God and I approve this message. If you don't see that written on it, step away and step away quickly. Because
Mm.
sometimes we can buy into the hype, and we have to be very careful, Tammy. There's a lot of jargon out there, there's a lot of hype, and so, we get into this. I'm the boss, I'm on my grind, okay,
Mhm.
cool. But
Mhm.
check the God factor.
Yes.
I'm not diminishing those things. If that's your language and if that's how you're moving in the earth, okay, but check the God factor, because being on your grind without God will grind you up. Being a boss without God will boss you right into hell. And
Dr.
so
K.
while we're running around saying all this stuff, and buying into the hype, check the God factor.
Check
Because
the
if
God
he's
factor.
not present, I need you to step away,
Yes, yes. Step
because you're
away from the
moving in
agenda.
darkness. Do you hear me? You're
Yes.
moving in darkness. So we got to constantly be checking the God factor as we move. And it becomes when he moves, we move just like
Mm.
that.
Just like that.
All
Hmm.
right.
Ma'am, we 45 minutes in and you done
Are
make this
we?
thing. And
Oh,
we ain't even scratched the surface of
oh my goodness.
this is so so rich and good, Dr. K. Okay. To shift a little bit, um, with your career, like I said, you reclaimed your voice, developed redeveloped your relationship with God on a foundation of knowing who you are through him.
Yes.
So looking at that, you are a personal and executive coach, you're a professor. What came first in your career, and how did you build upon that to be the amazing Dr. K that we know today?
So it was definitely an evolution, right? But one of the things, so here's what happened, as I cultivated that intimacy with God.
Mm-hmm.
I got clear about my assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, Tammy, I wasn't even clear, right, about my assignment. And I have women coming to me all the time and they ask, like, I just want to know my purpose. I just want to know my purpose. I just want to know my purpose. I'm going to make it very easy for you. We all have the same purpose. That is
Teachers.
to glorify God. We all have the same purpose. So let me tell you, whoever's listening, the search is over. Hello. Your purpose is to glorify God. We all have the same purpose. Here is what is unique to us, though. We have the
Mm-hmm.
same purpose, which is to glorify God. What is unique to us is our assignment,
Yes.
right? And so, how do we glorify God? Through the assignment that
Mm-hmm.
he gave us, the thing that he gave us to deliver, to deposit into the earth. So I got clear about my assignment, and here is what I recognize, that I had one assignment. I think God was trying to tell me all along, you got one job. You got one job.
One job.
And guess what that was? To
What was
teach,
it?
to teach, to teach. My
Yes.
assignment is to teach.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
when I got clear about my one assignment, then God was able to then start adding parts to that
Mm,
assignment.
that's good.
So the things that I do are parts of the assignment. So whether I am working with organizations in my company and helping them to grow professionally and build their capacity, I'm teaching.
Mm,
Whether I'm in the classroom with students in various institutions, I'm teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I'm coaching, personal coaching, or executive coaching, I'm teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I'm doing an inspirational keynote, I'm teaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether I'm writing books, I'm teaching.
Yes.
So the point is that I got one job,
Mm.
but I've got many parts.
Okay.
And so the one assignment is to teach. And the parts align with that. So even when, oftentimes I've been asked, how do you do everything you do? Well, I do it in the flow of teaching. And so the parts look different. So I could, be over here doing something in the company. I could be over here doing something at one of the colleges or universities. I could be, in an organization. I could be at New Life with, doing something there. But whatever I'm doing and wherever I am, I'm teaching. I even find myself teaching when I'm on the phone with my friends. I'm like, so let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell
Right.
you based upon what I went through. So let me teach you something, right? So I'm always teaching because that is my one job. That is my assignment. That is what God sent me here to do. So
Yes.
to those who are listening, let's be clear. We all have the same purpose to glorify God. The key is to get into your assignment. The
Mm-hmm.
most tragic thing we can do is to not know our assignment because then we become vulnerable to the enemy to be in somebody else's assignment.
Yes. Yes.
I would sip coffee if I had some right now.
We can virtually tip our cups. So what
Because
does that look like?
being in somebody else's assignment,
Yes, ma'am.
mhm, believing the glitz and glam
Mm-hmm.
of the shiny and sparkly, and you believe, oh, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she doing that? I could do
Yes.
that. I know
Yes.
how to do that. Every good idea is not a God idea for
Mm-mm.
you, right?
Right.
And we could be moving in that vein and be so far away from our assignment because we have looked on social media, seen the parts of somebody's life that they want us to see. Let's be clear.
Yes. Yes.
You can't see everybody's life on social media. I don't care how much they tell you. Let's be
Not at
clear,
all.
right? So you've seen the shiny and the sparkly, and you're drawn to that because you believe, yeah, that's it. I could do that. If that's working for her, I could do that. Step away, back up, and
Mm.
go to the Father. Bring your 7 and your 93 in harmony so you can have that intimacy with Him and start having those conversations about God, why am I here? What is my assignment?
Mm-hmm.
What did you send me here to do, to
Mm-hmm.
accomplish? Because the greatest tragedy we will ever face is to come to the end of our lives and have to return to the Father with an unfulfilled assignment
That's the truth.
and
That,
then try to explain that.
hmm.
What had happened is not going to work in this instance. So let's
And
just
then we start throwing around the day.
yeah. But see, you don't know what they said. You don't know what they did, and you don't know how they treated me, and you don't know what they did to me. That's the power of they. I call it the power of they.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to overcome the power of they because the power of they will draw us out of our assignment and that place that God had purposed and planned for us before the foundation of the world.
Yes.
Because we've got someone else, something else, someplace else in our ear that
Mm.
draws us away, some person, place, or thing that pulls us out of that space that God has destined for us to occupy.
Mm. My
So
mom.
going to the Father to get clear about your assignment.
Yes, yes. Whew. So before we try to land this plane, I think we soared to altitudes that we were not anticipating.
Okay.
We're gonna try to descend because
Okay.
because we're coming in for a landing here. So
I'll try to keep us on course. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready. I got it. I got it. I'll try to keep us on course. Come in for a smooth landing. Okay, I got it.
so when I met you, you were already doing an amazing job at impacting the lives of women. You started your movement, I call it I'm God's Girl for Real, with your
Yes,
annual conferences and events. And in the midst of that, you became a first lady.
yes.
Um, so you are now able to take what you were already doing with women and now focus it in on the beautiful women I'm sure God has assigned to you at New Life. So how has that transition been, adding that assignment to um, everything that you were already doing?
So this is so interesting because we sing some really nice songs because they got nice beats, right? And we can get in the groove. And so
Just
I
look,
used
the audience wants us to keep the plane up high. They're saying, no, don't land, keep talking.
so I was always saying, I want more, more, more. Jesus, more, more. Oh, he said, all right,
Okay.
I got you. So I'm saying that to say, in all seriousness,
Hmm.
it was amazing, Tammy, that it was just more of, and you already said it, right? It was
Hmm.
just more of what I was already doing.
Yes.
Just kind of in addition to or an addition to what I was
Hmm.
already doing. So it was literally expanded territory.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
enlarged territory, right?
Yes.
So that's how I've been able to really understand it, is that it was just an expansion of what I was
Yes.
already doing. So I didn't have to come to New Life to create women's ministry. I was called to women's ministry before I ever came to New Life. And
Hmm.
so for me, it was just kind of situating myself into what was already present and seeing it as an expansion. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's kind of how I've been able to capture and embrace that piece.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. Since they want to keep flying, we still descending some. I'm just gonna slow the descension down. We ain't can't stay on here all night, but talk to us a little bit for those who are not aware of I'm God's Girl for Real and how that came about, and the amazing annual events that you host.
So I'm God's Girl for Real kind of emerged out of me emerging, right? And so
Hmm.
I would so in bringing these pieces together and having that intimacy with God, just in my everyday conversation with Him, I would not be crossing T's and dotting I's, and the Holy Spirit would tap me on my shoulder to help me get it together, right? And I would
Hmm.
literally say out loud, God, I know I'm your girl for real, because I know some days I must be a mess, right? And so I would just kind of have these kind of exchanges with
Hmm.
God. And oftentimes I would say, I know I'm your girl for real. And so that was my personal mantra. And so when I started speaking and I would be in front of audiences, I started saying, I'm God's girl for real. So I started incorporating that even into my introduction of who I was by
Hmm.
saying, I'm God's girl for real. I was embracing that as my identity. Well,
Hmm.
before I knew it, other women started saying, well, I'm his girl for real too. And so I started to define it this way. So when I think about how this movement, as you said, has evolved over the years, I think we're kind of The last time I looked in Facebook, we're probably at a little over 2,500 members. We just started. Our first gathering was in the back corner of a restaurant. Are you there, Tammy?
I was there
Are
at the
you there?
one off of the first conference. I didn't make that breakfast
Okay,
event. I came to
okay.
the first
So
conference.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was just a little breakfast. I think maybe 25 of my friends and family, about
Mhm.
25 people, right?
Yes.
And that was kind of our first gathering. And so it's grown now to over 2,500 members in the I'm God's Girl for Real network on Facebook. Hey, if you're not there, come on over and join us. It's I'm God's Girl for Real on Facebook. But so it's grown, and it's a place of declaration. That's what I call
Yes.
it, a place of declaration. It is the place where we declare, I'm God's girl for real. I'm not perfect. I do not cross every T. I do
Mhm.
not dot every I. I don't always get it right. I fall
Mhm.
down. But here is what I know for sure: I am perfectly loved by God. In
Yeah.
the midst of my imperfection, I am
Mhm.
perfectly loved by God. So it
Yeah.
is a place where we can declare that God, no matter where I am, what I'm doing, what I'm going through, I know you love me and I know I am your girl. Right? So it's that
Yes.
place of declaration. And so that emerged out of kind of that place of intimacy with God and having a clear understanding of his love for me. And
Mhm.
so it's a place of encouragement, inspiration, sometimes challenge, right? So we do all of that in the network. And I love,
Mhm.
love, love, love the women who are there and who share and um who participate, who join the conversations when I'm posing a question or asking them to make declarations. And they just jump right in. And so I love it. Love it, love it,
Yes.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite places to hang out.
Okay. Amazing. And I think after that first conference, I think I've been to three. That the one in Columbia, then two in Florida.
Yes.
So yes, that it's an amazing event that is hosted in October. So I encourage you, as Dr. K said, join the community so that you can be aware of the announcement of when the conferences are happening, um, because they're amazing, absolutely
So
amazing.
we are hostesses at the conference. God is our guest of honor, right? So we all assume the same posture, and that is just to host God. There
Yeah,
is no, title and this person and that person. We are hostesses, and we're there to host our guest of honor. And he shows
yeah.
up every year and just does
Mm-hmm.
things that are absolutely life changing. I still hear over and over and over again what happened to women at conferences, the connections they made to other women,
Yes.
friends today because they met at the conference. So there's that formation of relationships and, just kind of the building up and amplifying of each other as God lifts us and elevates us.
Yes. So, since it is officially 9:30, can you believe it?
I
I
cannot.
told you.
That hour went by so quickly.
It did. It did. And we could literally go on and on, but to respect your time, um, as well as others, your husband chimed in. I don't know if you saw it. I'll bring his comment back up on the
He
screen. He
really.
gave you a
Hey,
shout out.
Bishop. Much love. That's my boo.
Yeah. So I want you to let everyone know outside of the I'm God's Girl for Real network, the ways that they can get in contact with you, the ways that they can follow you, the way that they can acquire some of your amazing products. And I'm not going to bring them up individually. You guys may have noticed in her background on that beautiful shelf, she has some books, many, many books. And this is my personal Dr. K collection. You cannot have them, you cannot borrow them. They're not up for grabs. However, She is going to let you know how you can follow her, connect with her, find her products, and I will tell you, just from what you've heard tonight, her voice is amplified in these books. So it's like having her as a coach as you're reading the pages of her book. So will you talk to us a little bit about some of the works that you've published and how they can connect with you and get your work?
Absolutely. Thank you. So, all of the books, let me say this, all of the books are on Amazon. You can go to my author page. There are 6 books there. This is for you. 31 Days of Life-Changing Discoveries is the first book I ever wrote. The second book that I wrote was more of a devotional. It's Growing in Faith Today. So it's more of a devotional. Third book I wrote was a part of that journey that I talked about, was Counterfeit, Lies That Covered the Naked Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth book was The Voice Positioning System, 7 Ways
Mm-hmm.
to Harness Your Power and Master Your Influence. And then just last year, 2 little books, but I feel like they're that call to intimacy. One is Hey Beautiful, Remember Who You Are. And then, and I got to tell you about these 2. Keep holding them up, Tammy. And so listen, you are God's girl for real on these things. And so Tammy and I have a special connection with these 2 because through her company, she actually did the interior of Hey Beautiful. And so listen, and Tammy, open it. Open it. Can you show them the interior of Hey Beautiful?
Certainly. Oh, you want them to show me that page? You want me to show them that
I
page?
do want you to show them that page. So that is little Tammy. So Tammy has a piece in that where she talks about being little Tammy. And so
Yeah.
please go to Amazon.com, visit my author page, Dr. Katrina Hutchins, and all of the books are there to connect with me otherwise, and learn about the conference and all of those things. You can go to I'mGod'sGirlForReal.com.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's I'mGod'sGirlForReal.com. So all of those things are there as it relates to the I'm God's Girl for Real movement. For
Yeah.
my company, Resource Solutions, you can visit the website at
Yeah.
resourcesolutions.com. That's RE-sourcesolutions.com, resourcesolutions.com. And so that is the company side of the work I do. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm God's Girl for Real is the ministry part of my assignment. You can connect with me on Facebook in the I'm God's Girl for Real network. Um, how else? I think that's it. I
I
think
think
you know
that's it. Yes.
how you
Yes.
find me. I'm here. I would love, 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 love to connect with you. I did radio today. So, um, right. So, Tammy, I also do weekly radio, talk radio with Dr. K. It comes
Mm-hmm.
on WOKB 1680. I post about that every week. So, if
Mm-hmm.
you connect with me on Facebook, you'll be able to get the link to listen in. But today, our topic was women who need women. And so I really believe that this even is a tie in to that.
Yes.
I'm sharing with you all of this is related to really having us come together because we really do need each other. I
That
don't
is
like to
true.
see women trying to operate in silos and buying into the hype from the
Mm.
enemy that you don't need anybody. Yes, you do. We were
Yes.
created to need each other. And so
Yes.
all of this is about our connection. It is not you being drawn to me. It is
Mm.
about you being drawn by the Holy Spirit so you can
Mm-hmm.
get in the place of assignment that God
That's
has
good.
for you.
That's
So yeah,
good.
all of this works toward that end because in reality, I got one job.
One job.
One
Glorify.
got
Yes.
one job. Yeah, and
Yes.
parts, but one job. Yeah.
Yes. And the radio show is online, so if you don't have to be local. Dr. K is in Florida, but the website, you can go to the website of the radio station and listen in as the radio show is being broadcast. And do you guys still post the shows on the I'm God's Girl for Real page, Dr.
We
K?
do. So all of the past shows are archived on the I'm God's Girl for Real website, but you can listen live every Wednesday at 1 o'clock p.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. So just an hour. Come have lunch with me on Wednesdays
Mm-hmm.
for Talk Radio with Dr. K. For that 1 hour, we always have amazing guests. Tammy has been a guest on the show, but we have amazing guests every week pouring into us, giving us nuggets, uplifting us and pushing us forward into our assignment. So please connect however you can and in every way you can.
Yes, yes. And but as we wrap up, and again, ladies, I just echo what she says. Please connect. Dr. K has been intricate. If you read or purchased my first book, Life Speaks, I had to give Dr. K a shout out in that book because she was part of my journey of helping me reclaim my voice to even be able to share that story. So if you connect with her on any platform, what you got here tonight in this interview, she shares those nuggets in her community. She shares those nuggets in her book. She shares those nuggets and has amazing women that do the same thing at her conferences. So she is definitely someone that I would recommend you connecting with. So we're going to wrap this up with requesting that you give us some final words of encouragement or inspiration. And I'm almost want to say, do you have anything left? But I know you do because I,
Well, and
I know you do.
I can keep going, but so I'm going to make this real short and very simple. And
Okay.
that is simply this is and it really is a repeat of what I've already said. I want you to really focus on getting in alignment with your assignment. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I've been doing is most recently is working with women around their assignment. So I've been talking to them about assignment clarity, assignment alignment, assignment accountability, and assignment sabotagers. And
Mm-hmm.
I want you to really get very focused and intentional. I want you to take your eyes off of social media. I want you to take your eyes off of other women and what they're doing, especially if you're comparing yourself to them. I want you to take your eyes and turn them toward the Father, your creator.
Mm-hmm.
Get in his space, in this intimate space, and ask him to give you clarity about
Mm-hmm.
how you are supposed to be living out your days in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Because outside of living your assignment, there's not a whole lot else that matters because that's what you were created to do. So if you're consuming your life with things that are not assignment centered, you are wasting your life.
Mm-hmm.
You are wasting your life because you're not carrying out what you were created to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So even if what you're doing is good and it's good to you and
Mm-hmm.
you love doing it, I want you to consider and ask yourself the question, is this aligned with my assignment? Let me tell you what assignment alignment helps you do. It
Go ahead
helps
and
you
tell us.
It helps you navigate your no because when you're clear about your assignment, you're clear about your no.
Mm-hmm.
So when things come your way, you can say, no, because that's not in alignment with my assignment.
Yes.
When other things come your way, can you do this? No, unapologetically no, because
Mm-hmm.
you're clear about your assignment. So when you have that level of clarity, it's hard for somebody then to get you pulled in different directions because
Mm-hmm.
then you become intentional about staying focused on the thing you were sent here to do. Remember, we all have to return to the Father. And we're going to have to give an account
Mm-hmm.
for what we did or did not do. And I love you enough to tell you, I want your story to end well, just like
Yes.
I want mine to end well.
Yes.
Because I want my story to be in eternity. And she lived happily ever after. That's that's
Yeah.
all I got.
That's all
That's
you
all I
got. Was that your mic drop statement, Dr. K? It's like,
That's all I got. And she lived happily ever after. I want
yes.
that for me, and I want it for you. But the only way we can have that be the culmination of our story is
Mm,
to make sure that we are doing what we were sent here to do. So examine your life,
yes.
where you are, examine what you're doing, and that
Yes.
examination should either bring you into alignment or affirm where you are.
Mm. Whew. Well, well, well. I believe we are full from what you have poured out tonight. So I am
So
so, so appreciative. So
I'm
appreciative.
I'm so
So
grateful.
appreciative. And I will say, I know you mentioned this when you were giving your information. You heard Dr. K mention that she's been working with women with being clear on their assignment. So she is a personal coach. So if something that she said tonight resonates with you and you know that you need someone to help push you to that next place, if you she gave her business website, and I'm going to also repost it when I share the video. You can connect with her through her company Resource Solutions and request a coaching session, a consultation. That information for booking her is on that website. And you already know that that is going to be worth the investment. We ain't gonna even have to drum that up. So if you know you need it, go ahead and click and invest. So Dr. K, thank you so much again for making yourself available and being so transparent and pouring out into the lives of those listening, including myself on tonight. So very thank you. That resonated with me when you said your assignment is to teach, because I myself know that I'm a teacher as well. And
Mhm.
um, I laugh. I was in group text sometimes with my friends, and we're having these dramatic conversations. I'm like, well, excuse me, because the teacher's about to show up, and let me say X, Y, Z. The teaching moments just come out. It doesn't matter
Absolutely.
how
Whatever's
casual the
in
conversation
you,
is.
whatever's in you, when you have that heart's desire to be in alignment with God,
Mm,
whatever is in you will come out. And here's the reality: whoever you are, you've always been.
mm,
We just get all this covering on top of it so that it becomes unidentifiable. Let me tell you one thing.
tell
Real
us.
quick. I
Go.
promise you,
Just tell us.
this.
I had to do this on my interview with Pastor Wendy. I was like, whoever's still hanging out with us,
Yeah,
they hang, because
but
we
I
out
gotta
here
say
now.
one thing. I gotta say one thing.
Say
So,
it.
I had this revelation. We read that there at the end, there will be many of us who God says, "Depart from me, because I do not know you." Well, God is sovereign. He knows everybody.
Hmm.
I believe what God is saying, "Depart from me, because I no longer recognize
Can't
you,
recognize you.
because you don't look like what I created. How
Mm,
dare you return to me not looking like what I created?" Because we go through life and we allow these coverings to camouflage his
mhm.
creation till we no longer look like what he created. And so I believe that that depart from me is going to be, you did not live the created life I had for you. So I
Yes.
can't let you in here. You gotta
Mm,
go because you
yes.
don't like
You
what I
don't look
created
like
for you. You
me.
didn't live your assignment. So I don't have a place for you. That's
Mm,
the tragedy of not living our assignment and moving
yes.
in darkness, being a voice faker, living a counterfeit life. Come on now. I'm not going to start.
Mm.
The end, Tammy. We're done. I'm done. I'm stopping. The end.
But that ties back into exactly what you said. Because if we're bringing him glory, we're echoing his reputation in the earth, which should his glory reflects him. So if we are out of alignment and not giving him glory, we're not looking like him, even if we think we're acting like him,
Absolutely.
moving in darkness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. And that's yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. Because looking like him is beyond acting like what we think he wants us to act like. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
So
quiet. I'm not.
I know, because you like we prepared for landing. You already done tighten up your seatbelt. You like you're not getting me to walk around this airplane again because I have to. We're gonna wrap it up. Yes, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you, thank
you.
you.
I love you so
Ladies,
much.
in
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
those of you in the comments, thank you guys so much for liking the video, loving the video, sharing the video, all of your comments and your encouragement. Um, so just a little note before we end. This was the 8th episode of Women Who Win. I did 4 in the month of May, one every week on Wednesdays, and then this was the 4th one for June. I did 3 on Thursday, and this one circled us back to our original Wednesday. I am taking the month of July off, not leaving, not quitting, just taking some time to restructure before coming back in August. However, if this was your first time tuning in, there are 7 other episodes, 7 other videos on my page that you can go back and watch. And they are all just as meaty and just as powerful. So you stay connected with me, please, on my Simply Tammy page. Remember to connect with Dr. K. Be looking out for some other things that I have coming up. And yeah, Women Who Win is not over. It's just season 1. You've caught the last episode of season 1 of Women Who Win, and I'm so very honored to be able to have ended this segment with Dr. K. As people were telling me or seeing that she was my guest, I said, you know, we had to end it well. We had to end it with some powerful. I started with some power with Pastor Whitney Henderson Wyatt, and had to end the month with some power. So again, thank you, Dr. K,
Thank you.
your presence. I'm going to ask that you remain in the studio for me for a few moments. We're going to say good night and goodbye to all of you ladies watching. Again, thank you for your love. Tune back in with me when I re-up in August. So be looking out for the announcement and the ladies that I'll be having then. And you guys continue to have an amazing evening. And thank you for your continued support.